it's a privilege to be able to be up here with Parm to talk about open houses. How many of you guys actively, consistently do? Just curious. All right, all three of you guys. I love it. Oh, I love it.
That's it.
Oh, awesome. You guys, Laura just gave us a thumbs up. Love it. I love it. Why do you guys think it's important to do open houses?
Anyone can volunteer.
This isn't part of the thing. I'm going rogue
Fire.
here.
I'm an person.
Get leads. Get leads. Parm, what, it wasn't on our question, but why do you think it's important for us to do open houses?
Not only to get leads, but I'd love to see how many folks have actually closed a transaction that resulted in hosting an open house.
Nada.
Yeah.
I was like, come on, I
Right?
Absolutely.
So it's not one of those activities that you're doing and there's no result from it if implemented effectively.
Mhm.
I think it's a great way to generate people into your database, which is the lead component, but actually people that will transact.
Absolutely, absolutely. One of the things that, when I think about open houses, I think about you need to be where people are looking to transact, right? What a perfect way for people, like, there's a reason why somebody goes into an open house. And the reason why they're going into it is because they have some sort of interest in real estate, which is the reason why they're in there. So, yeah, sometimes you do get nosy neighbors, but that doesn't mean that you can't build a relationship there. But then second, it's a low hanging fruit, right? So if you are looking for transactions and you're looking to build your business, I've been consistently doing open houses. This is my 12th year in the business. And without fail, almost every weekend, I've been consistently doing open houses. A little less now, just because now Angie and Johnny doing them for us, but it's an amazing way. So just a little bit about what open house has done for our business this year so far, 6 months in. We've had 10 closings, all sourced from open houses. One that just went pending. Johnny just locked one with an open house lead. And 5 of those leads were listings. So you're not just generating buyer leads, you're also generating the listing leads as well. So that's why I think it's important for us to get out there and be active in our community. Not only that, you also build a presence in the community that you're looking to farm. I can't tell you how many times that people have come in and said, Brian, never met you, but I see your name everywhere. It's because we put out, 20, 30 open house signs out every weekend. So if you're looking to build trust within the community that you live in or the community that you're looking to farm, this is another phenomenal way for you to get your name out there and to build trust within your community so that when people think about real estate, they think about you and you're the one that they're calling, right? Just don't do that in the Homes Park, do it somewhere else. All right, so Parm and I, we were talking and we were thinking about like how we should structure the questions. We talked about, we're gonna kind of break it down. We're gonna do a pre-open house and Parm's gonna ask some questions. It's gonna be more of a conversation. And then we're gonna talk about during open house, and then we're gonna talk about what best practices for post-open house. Okay, so should we jump into it?
Absolutely.
Love it, love it, love it.
So just to give you a little background also, Brian's hosted multiple open houses and he's gone over the metrics as to how successful they are. You folks have obviously hosted open houses, generated business from them. From my perspective, as someone that currently doesn't host open houses, I know they are very profitable. Every year, our team is generating probably about 17 to 22% of our business from open houses. And that comes in the form of whether it's a listing, a buyer that we represent, but also brand awareness. So the reality of it is we're here to give you a few different perspectives from, hosting open houses as a buyer's agent, as well as someone that has a listing that what do you want to be mindful of when you're hosting? And as Brian mentioned, 3 key components. If you're not breaking your open house out into 3 separate sections, we're already not doing it right. You really got to have a mindset of what am I doing pre-open house? what am I doing the day of, and then what am I doing after? And that's what our Q&A is gonna be kind of based around.
And I hope you guys are all making notes. This is important, very, very important.
Other good news, our wonderful coaches at the office are working on standard operating procedures to kind of outline what we've found to be effective in open houses, as well as their wealth of knowledge that they train agents on. And that, I imagine, will probably be rolled out in the upcoming weeks and whatnot, or months. I don't know the timeline, but there is something in development that, you know, you'll have like a one pager or something with our notes and theirs, but I think it's effective for you to kind of write down what you take away from today.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, should we jump into the questions?
Absolutely.
Okay, so the first question is gonna be for Parm. And these are all pre-open house. What do you do before you do before your open house date, okay? What are the most important steps, Parm, to prepare for an open
First is identify one,
house?
right? Like, know the market you're in. I think Brian mentioned about like farming a particular neighborhood. That's really good. Identify one in a good timeline. And what I mean by that, I see a lot of folks that like on a Thursday, Friday will be like, hey, I'm ready to host an open house for the weekend. We already know that that's not gonna be an effective open house. For our team, we're already marketing open houses starting that Monday of. So by Monday at the latest Tuesday, you need to identify the open house that you plan on hosting. It doesn't have to be a brand new listing. It could be from something that was on market last week, something that had a price correction, something that you just want to get into that neighborhood. But I'd rather have a listing that's already been on market to do an open house on versus taking an open house on a Friday that I'm looking to host on Saturday. So what's effective? One, identifying the open house early enough. And then two, really pre-marketing for the open house. Now, what are some of the most effective things you can do once you've identified the open house that you're doing? First, everyone has a phone. Most of us here should have command. Guess what we should do with that database? Invite people to that open house. Whether you're calling people, whether you are texting them or emailing them through command, you should invite everyone that's in your database to the open house. Now, mind you, are you inviting closed buyers that just bought a month ago? Are you inviting maybe a seller? No, but you guys all know how to use tags in command, right? So if you've had a buyer that hasn't closed, an email or text or a call should go out to them. So I also recommend highly any visitor that you tagged at an open house, like you source that lead through an open house, always invite them to your future open houses, right? So invite people to the open house from your CRM. Now, if you met someone at an open house in Thomas Park and now you're hosting one in Regency Park, are they maybe potentially interested? Maybe not, but this gives you a reason to call and to talk to someone outside of, do you want to buy a house? It's more of, hey, it was a pleasure meeting you. I'm hosting another open house. I know we connected because of this, this, and this. Want to let you know I'm hosting this home. Feel free to swing by or send someone that does. Also an opportunity for a referral. Next, make sure you print out your flyers. Do not come to the printer on Friday night to try to print out your 100 flyers that you need, because I will tell you, what is it, Murphy's law? Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Something will happen with the printer. You forgot your code. You couldn't get in the office. So make sure you're prepared. Have your flyers printed, right? For door knocking purposes, as well as at the open house. What else could we be doing to host a successful open house? Host the open house flyer on, guess what? Social media. So one, you're tag teaming it with calls, texts, and emails. Two, you've got the actual printed version. And then three, you're posting on social media. Better yet, guess what you can do with social media? If you don't know the home and you don't know the neighborhood, what should you do prior to the open house? Yeah. Maybe go to the home and check it out. And so that's a great way to even do a preemptive video outside of the day of video. Be like, hey folks, I'm gonna be hosting this open house. Let me just show you around. Come see me, etc., etc. So it's really actually four methods. One is inviting your database. Two is making sure that you're canvassing the neighborhood and also having material ready for any visitors. And then, of course, is the social media component.
That's so, write that down, Angie.
I got it.
Good. I don't think we do that.
Why?
We don't, no, and
I'm
not.
like, why?
we're-
Yeah,
Yeah, we're gonna start, but marketing into your database, so freaking smart.
Right, why would you not?
That's what Parm.
No, not at all. But if I met someone at an open house, why would I not invite them again?
Yeah. you're
That's
right.
how you build relationships, because the reality of it is, when you meet someone the first time at an open house, are they a solid client of yours at that point? Usually not.
Yeah.
So the only way you're gonna nurture this relationship, and Brian's gonna talk about this in our third section,
Mhm.
post open house. The reality of it is it's an opportunity to nurture that relationship. If we're not converting open house leads, it's because either we're not getting enough of them,
Mhm.
or two, guess what? We're not nurturing them,
Yeah,
right? And so by creating an opportunity to invite them again, it lets them know that you're serious, that you weren't a one-hit wonder at one open house, that you're there to mean business, and that you're there to help them find the right home.
love it, love it, love it. Yeah, that's super smart, Parm. And within your database, you get mind share. Right. So the whole idea is that, not everybody's looking to transact right away, okay? However, the more that your name comes up, the more mind share that you get when they are ready to transact, you're gonna be the one that they call, right? Because you're the one that's consistently staying in front of them and providing value. Another thing that I wanna add too, like the 10 open houses that we've closed this year, I want you to know, only like 2 of them were open house leads that we met this year. Okay, meaning like 4 of them were open house leads that we met last year that decided to transact, but because we nurtured a relationship, like what Parm said, you were able to convert when they're ready to transact. But if you just get the open house leads and you put them into your database and you're not nurturing that lead, then, you're gonna lose that opportunity. I love what, I forget who says this, like, the saying is, I've heard it in Wold, is if you're not dating your database, somebody else is.
Oh,
100%.
awesome.
Right, if you're not, and I love what Parm said, and this is a perfect example, because I pulled one of these, even though I've been doing this for 12 years. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Right.
Let me give you an example. I had an open house on Sunday. But because I've been so freaking busy, I didn't get a chance to prepare like I should have. Sunday morning, I come after church. I'm rushing in here, I'm like, I gotta get my open house signs, flyers printed out. Sure enough, I get through the front door, and then I try to go in through that main area, and my key wouldn't work. So what I had to do is I had to call my wife, Kelsey, to rescue me. She went to FedEx and got it printed and brought it to my open house. But that's a perfect example, is if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So you definitely want to plan. And Parm, you're telling me you don't want to pick an open house on Friday.
No,
You
if
wanna-
preparation is the key to success, and if we don't know that, then we're probably not gonna be successful, right?
Yeah.
And we're not saying this rudely, we're saying this humbly, because look, we've told you that our teams are generating anywhere from 15 to 25% of our business from open houses. Wouldn't you like to do that?
Yeah.
That we're not doing anything else. There's no secret sauce. We're sharing what, is working effectively. It's just we have to implement. And then when it comes back to you, like, oh, but I don't have the right buyer. They don't show up. So think of it this way, and I always talk to the team about this. Reflect back on the last time you bought a car. Okay, now, if you were just driving down the road and you saw a really nice car, that's person one. You're just driving, you see a nice car and you think nothing of it. Next thing is a person that's like, oh, okay, I saw that really nice car. Let me go online and look up like how much a car like that would cost and what are the specs, right? Next one is a person that's like, oh, I saw that car, I went online and I show up to, guess what, the dealership. Out of that, which one is more likely to buy a car? The person that showed up. I can tell you as a matter of fact, that every time I have walked on to a dealership, guess what I have walked out with? Whether it's that day or within a month or two. It's a car. My son, who is 15, is on the internet every day looking at cars. What's his probability of buying a car? Not very high.
You're probably right.
People want to say, we've got an old school Toyota Camry parked right for him at our house in Orange. I will see. So that works, right? You ain't getting any too. That being said, what I want you to do is reflect on that at an open house. Like, is a person that's on Google or Zillow more likely to buy a home? Is a person that's just driving by, not even coming into the open house, more likely to buy a home? Or is it the person that actually shows up at the open house? Now, mind you, not 100% of people are gonna buy or sell.
Yep.
But the probability is higher.
Absolutely.
And they will. I don't know the metrics on this. I know I knew this back in the pandemic, but there was, and someone already knows this, but there was a statistic, and it was a very high statistic of people that walk through an open house over the next 18 months would end up buying or selling a home.
Mhm.
So if I was a betting gal, I'd kind of look at those odds.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And then if you're like, hey, I don't know where to get materials, like market materials, or you can hit up our amazing resources like Mari. She's gonna have, like, she gets me shoe covers when I need them. She sets out the sign for us. I'm just kidding, she doesn't do that, but she has some amazing material that you can put out there, that way it doesn't feel like. Sign and sheet, and then Joseph Kelly, I don't think he's here,
He's not here for.
but he can get you hooked up with this program called List Report, and all you have to do is just plug in the address and it'll spit out a very professional looking flyer for you. And then all you have to do is print it here at the office.
What
So we
would
have
that-
resources.
Sorry, what would that time frame look like where you guys are prepping that stuff? Like, how
So-
long does your
So
flyers
we might
take?
have the liberty of admins, right? But that's why if you identify an open house on a Monday, Tuesday, you're doing all this prep work on Wednesday. Because if your open house is on Saturday or Sunday, guess what you're doing on Thursday and Friday?
You're not.
Thursday, you should be calling and making all these calls to whoever you're inviting, posting that social media video. And at the latest by Friday, ideally on Thursday, guess what we should be doing? Door knocking.
Yeah.
Right? And you don't have to door knock in the sweltering 100-degree weather. It could be early morning, late night, etc., but you are door knock.
Yeah.
And you might be out there delivering 100 flyers. It doesn't necessarily mean you need to door knock 100 flyers, but at a bare minimum, if you're just starting out, door knock 5 to the right, 5 to the left, 10 across, and at least you've hit 20 homes where you're actually attempting to speak to people.
Love that. Another quick thing, this is just like being strategic about your door knocking about your time is really important. I want to give a shout out to Johnny. What he did was he went to the apartment complex next to the home that he's looking to do an open house, because guess where the renters are? They're at the apartment complexes, which means that these are opportunities for first time home buyers for him to be able to build a presence there, right? So Johnny went and dropped off open house flyers and invited neighbors in the apartment complex. And what I love about apartment complexes, I've never door knocked there, but is that I imagine you're not walking crazy far. So it's like you're able to hit up a lot more doors and get a lot more engagement just because it's a lot closer. So think about stuff like that. Like,
And part of a successful open house, make sure you know the neighborhood, make sure you know the do's and don'ts.
Mhm.
There are communities where you can't put out signs, like in El Dorado Hills, you have to use their predetermined signs, right? There are communities where they don't allow door knocking, non-solicitation is present, right? So just make sure that you know what you're doing, know the neighborhood, and the best time to know that is by like Tuesday, Wednesday, so that you can plan accordingly.
yeah.
Really quick, I just wanted to talk about the door knocking for the
Mhm.
apartments, but also if you contact me, I can get you non-owner occupied, people around that neighborhood, and you can identify the owner occupied versus the non-owner occupied, which is the renters, so you
Yeah.
don't have to go very far.
Love it.
They're already living in the neighborhood, they might want to stay.
Awesome. What is your ultimate goal on with each open house? I know we kind of hit up on this a little bit, but
Ultimate goal with each, so we consider it from our listings, that goal from a listing is to secure another piece of business, right? So your goal as an an open house, I would say is probably to qualify at least a minimum of 1 valid lead. Like, that's a successful open house. If you're hosting for a month and you got 4 valid buyers or sellers that you're adding to your database, that's good. By valid, I mean they allowed you to connect with them in the future. You know, they're receptive to the information that they give you. Realistically, if you wanna like shoot for the stars, if you can procure a seller and a buyer from each open house that you host, that's amazing. But I would at least go for at least, you've gotta add more people to the database, but where you can say, okay, this person is either gonna buy or sell with me in the next 90 days.
Love that. Jose,
Hey, Brian, I wanna ask, give us an idea of like, what is your script when you're talking to incoming people regarding identifying who's potentially a buyer or a seller to see if that person. actually-
you're jumping ahead.
Yeah,
bro.
that's the day off activity today.
I'm excited.
That's a day off. Brian's gonna be sharing that wealth of information.
Let's jump into a little bit of the data during the open house.
And the only last thing I wanna mention about the before Brian takes, you know, the floor with script, with conversations and models and whatnot, is there is no restriction on how long you can host an open house, right? What I mean by that is if you have a vacant listing and you are free for the day, there's no SOP that says you can only host it from like 10 to 1 or 11 to 2. People that are effective, coaches all across maps will say, make that open house your office for the day. You should be taking that listing, taking that open house as your office for the day.
Mhm.
So if you're hosting an open house on a Friday and you know the house is vacant, why are you only hosting it from 4 to 6? Why not get there, put out the signs in the morning, and everyone pretty much now has internet, and even if it's like hotspot, right? You can make that your office. Neighbors will come by, people will come by, lenders might come by, wonderful escrow officers might even pop by, right? So the point is really use that, like think outside the box.
Say when I started in real estate, I ran other people to call. So I started open housing vacant listing all day, and I would set up there every day, put out signs at like 9 in the morning, go, and I had one of those, I'll be back at, going to lunch, I'll put a sign, I'll be back at, and I came back and I did all my lead gen there. I tell you what, I got one open house, I did it for 3 weeks before it sold. I did it every weekday, and 1 weekend day. I got my best investment client from that open house session, 17 deals.
Only?
And I got, and I got 3 listings in that neighborhood because everyone would come by and be like, you're crazy. You're open housing this house every day, all day long. You must really want to sell this house. And I want someone who wants to sell my house just like that, right? And so, and I got 3 listings in that neighborhood from that ability. So just treat it like your office, right?
Didn't we just hear a testimonial from Nada on video where she hosted an open house? I think it was in 4 Seasons every day, and she procured a listing from it because of the fact that that seller said, look, I see you here every day. Looks like you know the community. You are doing everything in your power to get this home sold. Like that's how you find business, realistically, right?
I'm just gonna chime in really quick. The chat is now open on Zoom, so I know you guys are texting me. I just want to let you know it is open, so please move forward and ask questions there if you have it.
Any final questions on before we move on to day of activity? The tree.
Hey, Parm, do you see certain hours for open house are more active or for that, a weekend we do the most activity?
So, I mean, you tell me, but we've usually found that it also depends on the community, right? And what's going on. Like, if you know it's baseball season and guess what? There's games going on in the morning. Some parents and families will not stop by at that time, but you might get a lot of activity. Saturday's usually an earlier start time works, probably all the way till about 4. Sundays, I found that usually a little bit later, start time around 12 onwards will work. But with any open house, guess what always ends up happening? More activity at the last hour, right? So just know that.
I notice people cramming in at the last minute, and sometimes it's like the line say, oh, we have to our behavior. You know, or you do that.
I honestly don't even think that all buyers plan out their weekends around open houses. Like, you know, to be honest, a lot of them, if you ask someone at an open house, what do they usually say? Oh, I saw the sign, or I came in because I saw this was open or whatever. So I don't think that they're completely planning it out. I would say if you have the availability, post it for as long as you can.
Yeah.
Make it your office, right? Whatever you are available, because look, if you're putting out fine, I don't wanna do that for like an hour.
No.
Right, or two,
Yeah.
I would do it for as long as you possibly can,
Absolutely.
right? Twilight open houses work, afternoon open houses work. Right, like lunchtime, depending upon the neighborhood,
Yeah.
any other yes, Jose.
I don't know. But I'm saying that, like, hey, I've experienced as well, like weekends, I get it, you're like primarily as an agent, that's why you open houses. Don't limit it just to weekends, do it to weekdays as well. Like,
Talk a little bit
Parm said,
louder,
take it to
Jose.
the office.
So the screen can be.
I actually been doing mine on Fridays. I can say I've been getting really good turnouts. My last Friday at 15 groups through. From 4 to 6. So don't be afraid to try different things, especially if you have weekend plans. Do the weekdays. That way you don't stop doing the activities and let that weekend flow.
I think the most important thing is just doing
Do
it.
them.
Yeah,
It's kind of like having a CRM, which,
Yeah.
Brian, I could ask you 20
Yeah.
times, Brian, which CRM would be best? What should you put in the CRM? How do you tag the CRM?
Yeah.
And guess what? At the end of the day, any CRM is good. It
Yeah.
could be Post-it notes, it could be Command, it could be Salesforce. It's
Yeah.
whatever one that you utilize will work as long as you make it work for you.
absolutely.
So now the fun stuff, the day of, right? So we're gonna get into what you probably hear before, because this is where it really boils down to how do you convert the leads or the people that are showing up? So Brian, let me ask you, here it is, the morning of the open house, regardless of when you're hosting it. What things do you do the day of the open house to set yourself up for success?
Yeah, let me tell you what not to do is to wait last minute, okay? Because, I mean, I would say for probably 4 years of my career, I'm just not the best planner. So I didn't really plan it out. So this is a discipline that I had to learn to do. For me, it starts the night before. Because I want to have my signs and all my marketing material in my car ready to go. I'm a father of 4 to kids that are all 7 and under. So my time and my hours at home can get eaten up really quickly. So I recognize when they go to sleep, I'm loading up my open house signs in my car, right? It's just simple things like that. You're prepping for the day before. The second thing that I started doing in the last probably 24 months, and you gotta check your local area to see if this is okay, but I put my signs out early in the morning. First is typically the weather is nicer, putting the signs out. And I don't like showing up to my open house all frazzled and hot and sweaty, right? So I set my signs out early in the morning. That way it's just sitting there all day for people to drive and see your logo and your name. And, I'll probably won't set up the last like 3 or 4 signs just because I don't want people going and knocking on that door if it's occupied, but I'll set them out all day. Like in the Thomas, you can do that all day long. People aren't gonna give you any trouble. Nobody's taking your signs down, whatever it is, okay? That way you are creating an opportunity for more people to see your name. And again, this comes down to more name recognition and farming the area that you want to be in, okay?
Brian, I'm gonna interrupt real
Yeah.
quick. There are listings that we have in significant areas that do have parameters that you need to find out.
Absolutely.
Trace area, you can only have 4 open house signs, period.
Yep.
Orville, you have to go to the city and register your open house signs before you can put them out. And in fact, one of our agents just she had like 9 of them, I think. They were all taken
Yeah.
because she didn't register.
So check your local area that you're doing the open house time. Here in the Tacoma, Sacramento, you're gonna be pretty okay. We're gonna hold questions just because how much time do we have?
We should
We
be.
said it till 12:30.
12. Oh, we got
We'll
plenty.
be wrapping up prior to that.
Oh, okay,
because
we got
I
plenty.
like,
of time. Okay.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so I set up the night before, I get all my materials in the car, that way I'm in the morning time, I'm focused, I'm ready to go, I'm not running behind or rushing to the next, okay? I also try not to set any appointments before my open house, because I'm learning all this hard way, by the way, these are all lessons that I've learned. There's been times where the showing went longer, or the buyer was running behind, and it pushed my open house late, so I try not to set anything beforehand. Lately, I've been doing more 2 to 3 hour open houses. But again, take your time that works best for you. For me, this is the time frame that works best for me. And if I could get anywhere between 7 to 10 people in, I know that I'm gonna walk away with, the chances of me walking away with an appointment is really high, right? So that's how I prep for my open house, get everything, when you're at the open house. I show up no 15 to 30 minutes before the open house starts.
Like
Because
that
again-
means at the open house, Brian, or like you're showing up in the neighborhood?
No, I'm in the house
Okay.
15 to 30 minutes before.
Great,
And the reason being, again, like when you're rushing you just don't present yourself the best. You want to be collected and ready to go. So I'm not putting flyers out while people are walking in, because I've done that before. Again, everything is things that I've learned. I have my flyers out. I have my music going also. If you don't have music going in your open house, it's super awkward in there. It's like going to a restaurant, there's no music in the background. You're like, I wanna leave, right? So play some music just so that it just kind of cuts the mood a little bit, so that when people are walking in, they don't feel like you're just trying to overhear their conversation. But that there's some background music there to kind of. Music does certain things to your atmosphere, and that's what you want your open house to feel welcoming.
it goes back to preparation,
Mhm.
because Brian said earlier, if you fail to plan, you're gonna plan to fail. So the reality of it being is that if you're showing up there 30 minutes before trying to put out your signs, you haven't really planned well, so you're certainly not gonna execute well.
Absolutely.
So ideally, be there at the property 15 to 30 minutes prior. One thing I will tell you that has changed significantly over the years from, I think, when we started in the business. Guess what's changed? Who's watching how the open house is going? The seller, the owner of the property.
Mhm.
Years ago, guess what? It was like you could have an open house at 11, and if you showed up at 11:10, no one was wiser except for the listing agent who got the super notification that you
Yeah,
get
yeah.
10 minutes later. Guess, I mean, this is just perspective from my end as a listing agent. Guess who's getting a call at 11:01 if the host isn't already there because so-and-so didn't see anyone on the Ring camera, right? So the reality of it being, when you're representing an open house, you are representing the brokerage, you are representing your own seller, you're representing a teammate seller. So just, common courtesy, etiquette, plan and execute well,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
What are your best practices, Brian? I know you've mentioned a couple, you
Yeah.
mentioned the music, you mentioned putting out the flyers. What are your best practices at the open house that you want to be mindful of before your first guest even arrives?
Yeah, I think, starting off with, this is a little outside of the question, but starting off with your mindset. Like recognizing why you're there. I always say, like, if you say yes to an open house, you're saying no to other things, right? For me personally, every time I say yes to an open house, I'm saying I'm gonna take 2 to 3 hours away from my family. So it's more of an incentive for me to come at this and say, I'm gonna make the maximum use of my time, because I don't wanna waste it, right? I don't wanna just show up for the sake of showing up. I wanna be there so that I could set appointments, that I could add people to my database, and I could have more presence in the neighborhood. So I always start off with mindset, recognizing, because sometimes I'll be there and I'm like not at the top of my game. People come in, I let them walk out. No, I'm there to set appointments. I'm there to meet people. I'm there to give value, so that in the future that these people are going to transact, or they might transact with you in the next 15, 30 days. They might buy or write an offer on the home that you're holding open. So you want to make sure that you're there with the right mindset. I would say getting your sign up sheet ready. I don't like doing a paper sign in. What I found is that people they can lie easier to you when you're not asking. So I sign everybody in, okay? So I'm not asking them, hey, here's a piece of paper, I want you to sign in, and then it's easier for them to like kind of lie to you and just write whatever down. But if you ask them, what's your email and what's your phone number, what I found is that your accuracy information, the information you're receiving is going to be more accurate, because it's harder for people to just lie to you, like straight up, right? And then if you were like, kind of like, I don't think this person's telling the truth, you can say, can you repeat that? And then typically, not to like call them out, but just so you're like getting their motive and trying to figure out what's going on there. So I would say, get your sign-in sheet ready, get the house prepared, have all your marketing materials out, get some music going, get to know the house, turn on all the lights, windows, open up the windows so that when people are coming in, they're not coming into like a dark room. What else? Yeah, I think that's it.
We found a great, like conversation starter is if you know the house, when someone walks in, let them know, hey, go take a look around, because you probably don't want to be hovering over around all the guests, right? But go take a look around and don't forget to check out XYZ. It's one of my favorite things about this home.
Yeah.
Right? Like if the home has a pool, if it's got a new roof, if it's got a new HVAC system, if it's got a gigantic closet that you really like, if it's got a jetted tub, whatever, it could be something minor, right? It could be a ceiling fan, pick something that you like about the home, right? Anything, but it's a way to let them know that you know what the home's about and also to engage them on it.
Yeah.
Fair?
Absolutely.
Let me ask you, Brian, what do you do when, because I think one of the frustrations people have is, hey, what do you do with guests that don't want to sign in or are signing in with incorrect information?
Yeah,
Can you do anything?
That's
And what
really good.
do you do anything about it?
I think the question that you have to ask yourself is, what value are you not giving for somebody who's not helping you get their information? So what questions are you not asking where somebody might say, okay, this person is worth giving my information to, okay? I will say this, a lot of times you don't get the information because you don't ask for the information, okay? I would say, and there are times where people have come in and they just say, hey, I'm not looking to give any information out, that's fine. But then dig in a little bit more, right? Not to force somebody to get there, because that's always awkward, right? You're not trying to like heavy arm anybody, right? However, the question I ask is, are you giving enough value for somebody to be like, okay, I want to share my information over it? So I always start off with questions, right? Hey, what brings you to the open house? Do you live in a neighborhood? Some basic questions. And then as they're sharing more information with you, the whole point of the conversations and the questions that you're asking is you're looking for where the pain point of that person is. What is bringing them to your open house? What is the reason why they're considering purchasing a home? So you ask the questions that reveal their motive, and then you speak into whatever that motive is, right? Hey, I'm looking to downsize because of A, B, and C. Now you're speaking to being the solution, being the answer to their problem, and then you find that you're going to get more accurate information.
So that was phenomenal. Point noted about if you're finding that there's a bump in your process, find out where there's a value opportunity for you to provide.
Absolutely.
So if you're not getting people to sign in, it doesn't necessarily mean you just let them wander the open house. If you really want someone to sign in, there's a lot of conversations around that. Sellers are requiring it. It's required for, insurance purposes, if for you to go view the house, like ask them, would you let someone roam through your home if you ever had it hosted? Hopefully you can understand that that's what the seller's perspective is, right? So make sure that you're comfortable with engaging with the guest in terms of, because everyone's pretty good at being able to identify whether someone should be at an open house or not. Because that seller has given us the authority to manage their house for that time.
Yep.
Right? So we've got to make sure that we are screening and checking. This leads to that next question, which a lot of people, and I think Jose even brought up. How do you engage guests that are coming in, and what kind of conversations are we having to ultimately get what we've agreed on is your objective with each open house is to schedule an appointment, schedule a consultation. If you have left that open house with a consultation schedule, not done right there, but a dedicated time with at least one guest, I chalk that up to a successful open house because you've got someone to commit to you, right? To meet with you. So what conversations are you having, Brian, to engage guests, and literally what value are you sharing with them where they're giving permission to allow you to follow up with them for a consultation or a meeting after the open?
Yeah, I think every guest is different, right? So you have to start off, and the easiest question that I ask, and I talk about this on the Zoom meeting, is, hey, what got you thinking about buying a house? Somebody comes into an open house and says, hey, what brings you in? And they're like, hey, we're looking to purchase a home. The next question that I asked is, oh, that's awesome, like, what got you thinking about buying a house? And you're starting these conversations, there's like 3 or 4 things that I always say, like, and Angie is like, Brian, you just say the same things over and over again. I'm like, you're so effective at setting the appointment, it's like, why fix something that's broken, right? So once you have a general understanding of what this person is needing and the reason why they're looking to transact, first question is, hey, has anybody sat down with you guys and had a conversation about what the buying, selling process looks like? No, they haven't. Okay, yeah. And then the next question, that this is like a closure. You need to build more, first of all, you have to build rapport. So find different things that you could find in common with the person, with the guest that comes in, right? Hey, I like your shoes. You have 3 kids, I have 4. I know, they're crazy. It's okay, they could jump on, they can run around, that's not a problem. Whatever it is, find whatever is that you can relate to so that you can build rapport. Talk about the neighbor, show off like your market knowledge, right? About the neighborhoods, about the people that or the streets, or about home, whatever it is. Just find something that you could find common with this person. But asking the question to reveal what their reasoning behind coming in is so key, because that allows you to be able to speak into where their pain point is. And then I always close out after, if they say no, we haven't sat down with anybody that that's gone through the process with me. The next question I always ask is, how open would you be to setting up a time for us to have a conversation this coming week? It's just simple. You ask, it's not a, hey, let's have a consultation. It's not, hey, let's have a strategy session. What's your availability for us to have a conversation this week? We could do it over Zoom or in person. And if they say we're open, then you just throw out some dates and you walk it in. And it's honestly just as simple as that. Because you already did all the work by asking the questions, figuring out what the pain point is. Here, it's just you're closing the appointment so that they know exactly what's gonna happen next, right? So often people will just, I've heard so many like agents that come in, well, I don't follow up with them, or I don't ask for the appointment until after the open house. The key thing is setting the appointment during the open house is super important, because there's a great chance that 7 or 8 other open houses that they've been into, that those agents are calling them as well. But if you set the appointment during the open house, it's gonna bring your conversion to send that appointment much higher than following up on Monday or Tuesday to set that.
With that being said, I'm sure everyone here can raise their hand and say there are plenty of visitors that don't even want to make eye contact with you at the open house. Has anyone ever had that? Have you ever had a visitor that's kind of like running out of the door and they don't even want to have this conversation with you? Even with them, I highly recommend that you ask this very important question. Because if you ask this question, they will have to give an answer, which will generally lead you to asking another question. Anyone that walks through your open house, and this is for those that you haven't engaged with them and they've not sat down for the strategy session and whatnot. Anyone that's walking out of the door, would you like to buy this house? They just came and visited the open house. What question should we be asking them? Would you like to buy this open house? 99.9% of the time, what is the answer going to be?
No.
No. What should your next question be?
Why?
Not necessarily even why. What would this home need to have that would make it a home that you would want to buy? Now, what are they gonna say? They're gonna tell you, oh, the price is too high, I'm looking for 4 bedrooms, this, that, and the other, I didn't like it, it wasn't updated. Then guess what you get to say? Great, this home may not be the perfect fit for you, but as the local realtor in the market, guess what I know of? Homes that have that 4th bedroom that you're looking for, homes that are updated. You're basically filling in the void, right?
That's gold right there.
Then you go into, okay, why don't we go ahead and set up a time so that I can actually show you homes that fit what you're looking for? Let me ask you, what works better for you? Weekdays or weekends? Mornings or afternoons? And you go for the appointment.
Boom. Love it.
right? So you've got to, not every client is just gonna be wonderful and start talking to you and talking about the kids or how you like the same shoes or whatever it may be. But try to engage in as many of those conversations, even the ones that give you that death stare, like don't even come to me, don't talk to me, I'm just here because I wanna see the house. Try to engage with everybody.
I love that part. And then I would also add is, if I was, you ask these questions, there's another question you ask, like, what are you looking for? Because that gets their excitement going, right? And that's one way of asking for it, very effective way of asking. And then the follow-up question would be, if I was to be able to find you these
Perfect.
homes with these type of things, would you be open to taking a look at it? Right?
Right.
If they say yes, okay, perfect. What's the good availability? And then you try to get in, not sneak in, but you try to set up a buyer consultation during that time as well.
I've got two last questions about the day of activities,
Okay.
Brian. On a positive end of the spectrum, let me ask you, how do you handle multiple guests at the open house at the same time?
So before I would try to do open houses by myself. Where I'm just like, I'm gonna show up, but then I was like, well, I could leverage either team or my lenders. Right? So when multiple people come in and you're just not able to keep up with all the activity that's happening, bring your lender with you to the open house because they're gonna help you get and collect information and help you convert those leads as well. So it's an extra value add. So I would say, if you know that it's going to be a busy open house, bring a lender with you, or another agent, or, like me, I'll bring Angie or Johnny or Joe or another guy named that with us to do these open houses. That way we could, leverage our time and be able to have more conversations. They all, like typically if I ask my lender to set up and pick up my signs, they'll do that as well. So it's another point of leverage as well.
Absolutely. And in the event of, well, maybe you're still building up your business, you don't have a team, you don't have a lender that you're working hand in hand, then get really skilled at triaging your visitors. Look at who demands your attention and focus your energy on them. Who's wanting to talk to you? Like I'd be spending more time on the person that's sharing that they have 3 kids, want this, that, and the other versus the person that I have to ask running out of the door.
Yeah.
Do you want to buy this open house, right? So just get really effective at triaging your visitors and knowing who you need to spend time on. The last question, Brian, about the day of and being at the open house. What do you do at an open house? Because I think this is important for some of the newer agents. What do you do at an open house if there is some sort of an emergency or something that just looks off? Like what would you deem to
Like
be?
a break-in or squatters,
Sure,
Or
break-in,
bird.
squatters,
bird flies in, it sounds very personal. I'm like, like the first time.
I got many a call where, actually, you know what? Getting the call is not an issue. It's when you don't get the call and find out about it after the fact that's an issue.
Yeah.
If there are signs of an attempted break-in, guess who you should notify right away?
Yeah,
First the police,
yeah,
then the listing agent, right? If
absolutely.
there is a squatter in the house, don't attempt to host the open house. Notify the police and the listing agent.
Yeah,
If
it's
you
just not recommended.
If you have, right?
Yeah.
But safety is number one, right? With that, if an animal flies in, a bird or something, like do your best to corral that animal and get it out, but just,
Yeah,
be mindful of things. If something looks off, it probably is off, right? Like if something's out of place, like if it's a staged home and then it looks like there's some like food in the fridge and whatnot, that kind of probably, or the bathroom's been used.
yeah,
Those are things that you probably want to notify the listing agent about. If anything looks off,
right away.
Yeah. Because with any open house, I think there's a few goals. Number one, if we're hosting an open house, our goal should be to get that home sold, whether it's our listing or not. There's a reason why you're there. Number two, it's to procure lead and to get that consultation scheduled. And ultimately, the goal from open houses is to close business from them.
Yeah.
So just be mindful of that, right?
Absolutely.
We'll just take a couple moments, or do we want to wrap up with the, post activities and then we'll maybe have a few minutes of questions?
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's do that. So we're moving on to
What
open
is it?
house is done.
Yep.
Yay. We got appointments, or maybe we got leads, or maybe someone showed up, didn't show up.
Mhm.
What happens after the open house, right?
Yep.
So, Brian, you wrapped up, you put away your signs and whatnot, you've locked the door, secured the property. What are some of the key steps that you take immediately after an open house to follow up with anyone that came through?
Well, first thing that I do is if you're hosting an open house for a listing agent here in the office, you want to make sure you give your feedback out right away. So like, don't wait till Monday or Tuesday, don't wait, or don't have, the worst thing is when the listing agent has to ask you, how did it go? Right, just because it's frustrating as a listing agent, you're giving opportunities for people to do open house and then you have to follow up with them to see how it went. So give the update, either if it's your listing, update your sellers, if it's if it's one of the agents, update the listing agent. So as soon as the open house contacts come in, I set them up on a smart plan. The first smart plan is our KWCA 36, so it puts them on a quarterly call and then put them on a monthly market watch, okay? If it's a buyer that's looking to, and I'm doing this as I'm signing them in, by the way. If it's a buyer that's looking to purchase something, I get them set up on the active home search. And then I have a follow-up that's happening. But the first thing that does is we activate a smart plan that immediately sends a message out after your open house is done. It's automated. And it goes through like a Twilio account and says, hey, thank you so much for coming into the open house. It was an absolute pleasure meeting you. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have any questions. That way, after the open house is over, they're hearing your name again. Okay?
So I'm gonna interrupt just really quick. I just want you to reiterate, what program is that? Because there's some people in here who aren't using.
Whatever CRM that you're using that has a capability of doing it, but we use Command.
Yeah.
We use Command, we use our smart plans to send a message out just to say, thank you guys for coming and open house. If you have any questions for us, please don't hesitate to reach out, just as an extra touch. And then if you had a great conversation, they'll text you back and say, hey, thank you so much for showing this house, whatever it is. And then you know the warmer leads as well. Okay?
And if you don't have that system, guess what you do have? You
Your
have a phone
phone,
and you can use the text function
Yeah.
just as effectively, right? And send out a message that's personalized to them.
Mhm.
So the point noted from there, Brian, is that immediately when you do an open house, whether you've had a great conversation, collected data, have a follow-up or not, you are literally texting each person, thanking them for visiting.
Yeah.
And letting them know if you've got any questions to reach out with your brand name, whatever it may be, so that they've got your contact information.
Absolutely.
And that probably lets you know also, guess what? Whether the information was valid or not.
Yep.
Because if it wasn't, it's gonna bounce back to you and now you can triage, do I need to spend time on it?
Yeah.
What else would you do?
I would just add up one more thing here. Unless the information is wrong, there's no such thing as a bad fee. Okay, some people say, okay, these person haven't answered their bad lead, we're gonna take them off. I view all of the leads as either warm leads, hot leads, warm leads, or cold leads, right? So whether or not, they may not transact with you right now, but I can't tell you how many times that I've done an open house and I followed up, no phone call, no texting, no communication at all. But all of a sudden, randomly, 3-4 months later, because I have them on automated search and because I'm still following up with them, that they text me or call me saying, Brian, I'm interested in taking a look at this home. And now you have the opportunity to set the appointment. So view all of your leads as either hot, warm, or cold. Don't view them as bad and then all of a sudden delete them out of your CRM, because these are opportunities that you could reap down the road if you nurture your leads well. So first thing is we get them set up on our smart plans. That way there's a regular follow-up, and then I have a task that comes up in the morning telling me I need to call these people, otherwise I'll forget to call people, right? And then they're also receiving our email marketing as well, starting at that point, our monthly newsletter, their monthly market watch, homes that are active within the criteria that they're interested in, and they're constantly seeing your face, over and over again.
One very important thing, hopefully you all heard of it. Brian's basically saying he's following up with everyone.
Everyone.
Following up with everyone, and you do not stop just because they're not responsive.
Mhm.
Our team, the only time that we stop reaching out to someone is when they are literally saying, please do not contact me.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you have to consider it an opportunity. You just said earlier today, the 10 transactions that they've closed, I think only 2
Were
were
from
from
this year.
open houses this year. So the other 8 were from follow-up. It wasn't just they did an open house and then never spoke to the person again.
Yeah.
They followed up and they continue to follow up, but I bet you those other 8 weren't like responding to every text and email and newsletter you were sending,
Sometimes not.
right?
Yeah.
So the key is follow up.
Absolutely, yeah, and have systems in place, like if you're a KW agent, you have access to command, right? So there's no excuse for you to not use your CRM. Let me give you a perfect example. Last year, I met a couple who were looking to combine homes because they were getting married. They both own properties, but they wanted to get something bigger that accommodated their family. I set an appointment with them, they were at the open house, met with them a handful of days afterwards. Didn't even end up getting an opportunity to show them home because they just decided that they were not gonna purchase at this time. But guess what? I have my automated searches, I have my quarterly calls, and I have my monthly, neighbor and nurture that's going out to them, right? So literally, he calls me and forwards me one of the homes that I sent over to him from our automated home searches. He says, Brian, I'm interested in taking a look at this home. I went and scheduled an appointment, showed him the home right away, and then they ended up buying this home at like 920,000. And then I sold both of their properties for them. So those are 3 leads from open houses because of the nurture, because of the automation. Well, a lot of it is automated, right? We're able to capture that lead. So, but it's all within like how you're taking care of the leads that are coming in. But if you think they're a bad lead, the chance of you taking care of them well is probably not great. But if you're thinking that they will transact with me at one point, and you're following up as if they are going to transact with you, whether you're getting the results or not, you have to show up consistently that way.
I think you kind of answered my next question, which was how do you keep the momentum going to maintain communication with the buyers and sellers? And a lot of it just has to do with mindset. It seems like just knowing that you're going to continue to follow up with them
Absolutely.
and nurture that relationship. Is there anything else that you'd say that keeps you motivated or?
I would also say,
that communication up?
yeah, if you set an appointment, because the whole point is to set the appointment while you're there. Let's just say you meet on a Sunday or a Saturday and you set the appointment for Thursday. You're not gonna wait till Thursday to follow up with them again. Okay, so if you set the appointment Monday, you're gonna say, hey, thank you so much for setting the appointment. I did A, B, and C for you, so that's in preparation for our appointment. On Wednesday, I'm giving them a phone call. Hey, I'm just curious. I know you're looking for this, but are you open to this as well? Right? This is the idea is that they're constantly hearing you and they're first of all being reminded of the appointment that's being set. This helps with setting the appointment and then going into the Met appointments. And then the morning of, you're also having given them a phone call and a text message saying I'm looking forward to our appointment at this time. That way you're not like set the appointment and then all of a sudden you ghost them for 4 days and expect them to show up for the appointment, right? You have to consistently give value. You have to show that you're the agent that they should hire because look at all the value that they're getting from you, even though you haven't even hired them yet. So if you come from a place of value and you come from a place of giving, the return will come, not every time, but the return will come and you're gonna be able to reap it.
The only other post-closing activity that I would highly suggest, and our team is working on this to be more consistent about it, because I feel that it would be super valuable. Immediately after the open house, what I would do is remember those 5 neighbors you door knocked on the right and the 5 that you door knocked on the left and the 10 that you door knocked across. Guess what I would go do? I would door knock those same neighbors immediately after the open house and use it as an opportunity to update them as to what's going on in their neighborhood. It's an opportunity for you to give them feedback, because most often, when you hosted the open house, have you found a buyer for that house? Probably not. But you probably came across buyers that are looking in that neighborhood but didn't want that house. So you can use that as a conversation starter with, hey, I just want to let you know, we had a phenomenal open house at Bob and Mary's home, and we had a lot of traffic through, as you saw. With that being said, we found that there's a lot of people that are interested in moving into this neighborhood. Have you ever considered selling? And if you were, where would you move to? Right? It's an opportunity to have that conversation. And you can also be like, well, we found a lot of folks that didn't really want the 2-story plan, but would really be interested in single story, and we might have a buyer for this home from the visitors. Have you ever considered selling? Right? So it's just an opportunity to have conversation. The biggest thing, if I had to say, take anything away, know that open house leads convert when you're focused on the open house before, during, and after, and not just for the 2 hours or 3 hours that you're there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Anything else that you wanna
I
end
would,
with? You brought some
Yeah.
phenomenal pieces of information on the conversation. Okay.
I would say this again, if you're not consistently, okay, so don't expect to do one open house and be like, okay, I didn't get anything, this doesn't work, okay? Because I think people give up too quickly. Again, I've been doing open houses for 12 years, countless hours of setting up signs and, being in homes, trying to meet people, engage with people. So it takes time for anything to really come into effect there, for you to see the fruit of it, okay? But the biggest thing that I want to share is that, like, when I first started doing open houses, I didn't have any of this kind of knowledge. I didn't know I needed to set appointments. I just showed up. And because I showed up, I closed 6 deals on my first year being licensed as a real estate agent. Not because of like these fancy closing, but I bring this up because like 75% of it is just you showing up. And then the rest is like trying to figure out how you can maximize it. But the more you're out there and the more conversations that you're having with people, the more opportunities that you give yourself for you and more success that you're gonna be able to find. So 2 things, I guess, is just don't do it one time or do it for a week or do it for 3 months and say it doesn't work, because it absolutely does work. But give yourself a lot more time to do it, and then also just continue to show up.
Awesome. We'll open it up to like any questions if there are any,
I saw a few hands go up and then went back down.
or feedback.
Yes. Do you guys read out of the services that do like the phone blast to like the neighborhood about the open house coming or coming soon?
I have an inside sales associate team, so we do call around the neighborhood in addition to the other fundamental items. We also will send out a mailer and whatnot if it's our listing. So yes, we do circle prospect around the neighborhood.
They're really nice too. They call me. Yeah, they're
They
like-
call everyone.
Yeah, they call me.
They call everyone. Don't be surprised if you don't get a call. You get a call from one of them. They're gonna be calling you more often now, and checking in.
Yeah, they're
You
good.
want to tell Brian? Selling? So yeah, call the neighborhood. You can get that data again. This portion probably will be paid because you're getting people's phone numbers.
Yeah.
And then Jason Abrams would love me. Make sure you comply with the TCPA regulation whenever you're calling someone. There you go. I got you guys covered.
Thank
There
you.
go.
Question, where do you check to make sure that if it's in our web, that islands aren't placing open signs in certain communities? Where do you say that?
A lot of it, I think, is just knowing the communities now, but you can probably check with escrow on getting the CCNRs, or guess who should really know, probably? The owner of the home. So if it's your listing, the seller should be able to tell you, or the seller, or the listing agent should be able to advise. Yeah, if there's an HOA, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for spending, are there other questions? Yeah.
Yeah, one technical question, well, I'll ask the other first. So when you're setting them up on not a good friend, but understanding the properties that are available. What is your preferred system? Are you using MetroList or are you using the KW website?
Simon and I talked about this before a long time ago.
Yeah, but
We're like-
he was a lot of fancy stuff.
I don't think it matters as long as they're sending them home, you could set it up for Metro List. What I found is like, if I'm doing like, it's just like if somebody who's kind of a cold, like warm, cold lead, like, hey, I'm just kind of looking, I'll get them set up on command. Because it doesn't get very specific, but it gives them an idea, and I like that everything is coming from command. If they're more detailed, hey, we're hoping to buy in the next 30 to 45 days, then I'm getting this up on Metro List.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great strategy,
Yeah.
right?
I use something for to prep the night before. I have a classical data, it will have a toilet paper, Kleenex, water, the signing form, flyers, everything in one box. So when I walk into the open house, I have everything in one place and I have to remember.
That's a great
Yeah.
point.
That is also
With
very
the
organized.
pens, everything right there.
And yes, I'm sure you've seen some, and we'll get back to, I think you had a second question, Penny. I'm just gonna kind of talk about what's in my brain right now, otherwise I'll lose that train of thought because, not as mentioned it. You don't need to have like cookies and food and whatnot at the open house, but the reason why people do it is why? To keep guests there longer so you can have conversations, right? So just be mindful of that. The reason why people will have food and drinks and whatnot, and be careful, please don't ruin someone's carpet, right? And don't have like kids running with like cookies and drinks everywhere.
Yeah.
But the reason why people do that is it allows for longer stay time conversation starter, right? There's a lot of scientific knowledge behind all this. It's kind of like, why do grocery stores keep the temperature at a certain amount, because they want you to be there longer and, spend more money there. Penny, getting into your second question.
Yeah, like I said, technical question. How do you combat high winds?
That's a nice one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stand there, you have people standing there holding your sign for you, no, I'm kidding.
So,
It's hard.
it's hard with the wind just because like, but some things,
Some signs do better, right?
yeah, sometimes do better. Like Johnny was like, I'm gonna bring sandbags,
Oh.
right? And
You
then-
know those sandbags are getting stolen, Johnny. There are video on it. I don't want to take those sandbags,
So
I'll
then
tell you
like
that.
sandbag, or the best solution is you just switch to very cheap, they're like, you just put them in the stake, you stake them in the ground. Yeah, so when it's super windy, I know like my A-frames aren't gonna stand up, I just use more of my stick-ins. We use all of our signs all the time anyways, but I'll make sure to put in a stick-in sign in an area that maybe the A-frame would normally go. That way I know that it's not gonna blow down.
Amazon sells like these, canvas, and they have like pockets, and so you can just put blocks in them, heavy rocks.
Sure.
They do them for like patio.
I know our classic signs, you put like sand and stuff in them, but then you're running around like 30.
They're heavy,
Yeah.
and then it makes you not want to do open house signs. Or you don't want to do open houses because you don't want to like mess up your back and take them out of the car. So do what works for you, and remember, signs don't have to be branded. If you're just starting out, just make sure you have signs, they don't have to be
Buy
branded.
them on Amazon.
Right,
They're
you can
easy
get
to
them in bulk on Amazon, so just don't let anything prevent you from doing it, and do it in a way that you'd want to continue.
So John had a
John?
question.
There's a question online that says, can you do your script again about how you ask for the name, email and phone number? And go through that again.
Watch the video.
Uh,
I can say that out loud.
well, that's great. I don't know if
I'm sorry, I love you all.
I don't know if there's.
We ask them to sign in if they have an objection or you're taking their information. You just say, hey, sign in, please.
This will be,
Can I get
it
your
is
information?
recorded. There you go. Say it's recorded, watch the video, Brian.
On
On behalf of Brian, if anyone has a question on the scripts or conversations that we use, feel free to watch that hour-long video. Because we want to be mindful of everyone's time as well as ours. But
Absolutely.
great question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One more.
What do you think the area that you're trying to farm, our office doesn't really have that many listings? How would you go about trying to keep the open houses really? What is the information?
Mhm.
Just door knock,
Yeah,
just door knock.
yeah,
You don't have to have an open
Canvas. yeah.
to door knock.
Walk around with your kid like have flyers,
Yeah,
like, or Wilson does this where he has like magnets that you hand out with like, you know, sports or whatever, it doesn't, but it could be just your, like, Michael Story's team. They do the sold, list of sold properties in that neighborhood, and that's their code, and then they'll just shop them off, so. Yeah, door knocking would be
Value,
the best.
yeah.
take it in your control, farm the neighborhood, door knock the neighborhood, and become the agent that does bring writings to
Get
the
involved with
office.
the
in that
community
neighborhood.
there, right, like whether it's Chamber of Commerce or. Whatever it is, the local events that you could be a host, right, a booth that you can hold, whatever, we do a lot of the community events here. We're doing one where we're like hosting with Lisa Kaplan. A family movie night at the aquatic center, so just finding ways to get involved because people want you to get involved.